We're here today for a review hearing before our final hearing in April. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are also live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right. We'll go ahead and take everybody's announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready with Permanency Specialist Abigail Lawrence and Michaela Kirksey of St. Francis Ministries.
Tim Pirtle for Manuela Jamon Castro. We're ready.
Brooks Barfield for Diego David Jamon Castro. Ready. Proceed.
Monica Olivas with Casa.
Bailey
Present.
Sapien. Bailey Sapien for Go ahead, Delinda.
Go ahead, Bailey. You're next.
Okay. Bailey Sapien for Mr. Chingo Mendez. I haven't had any contact with my client, but I'm present ready.
Delinda Evelyn, attorney for the children.
Ryan Terman, attorney for unknown father.
Okay. Y'all are gonna have to give me a minute. Just the YouTube stream, there's something are here today for a review hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. And we are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. We'll go ahead and take everybody's announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready with Permanency Specialist Becky Hernandez and Supervisor Dakota Miller from St. Francis Ministries.
Anna Ricker with Bailey Cervantes, present and ready.
Delinda Evelyn, attorney for Nile, present and ready.
Monica Olivas with Casa.
Okay. What do we have new? Sounds like everything's still going great.
Oh yeah, Naya's doing great in placement. She just turned 8 years old. She's doing great. She's in 2nd grade, doing great in school, passing, healthy, no health concerns, up to date with all medical appointments, and yeah, just waiting on the adoption process.
All right, so that's where Miss Ferguson comes in.
Yeah.
Anything new?
Your Honor, I haven't had an opportunity. I just heard this morning that the priority date bumped up a few months, but that would still put it at the beginning of 2019. So we've still got a little bit of a wait, but it is kind of moving more than normal. So I'm going to check into that and see why it moved.
Okay, you said 2019. Obviously, you didn't mean 2019.
I did. Actually, the priority date was January of 2019. That means that anybody who had filed for an application prior to January of 2019 could apply. So I think it's moved to March of 2019 at this time, but I do believe that Naya's priority date is in 2020. So we've got a little ways to go.
Okay.
Typically, how many real months does it take to move a month?
There are years.
Time. How old are you? You know?
There are years where it only moves once.
1 month.
So it's very unusual that it moved up.
2 months.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Maybe I didn't want that answer.
I know. I'm very sorry.
Long wait.
It's a big mystery. We have no, I mean, you know, people who practice this type of law have no idea, you know, it's all a federal agency and they do whatever they want. So
That's pretty much says it all. So, all right, Miss Ricker, you got anything to report today?
No, if there was some magical thing we could do to move that up, we would certainly do it. But Bailey's just a great mom. She really is. This kid is perfect. So.
We would all wave the magic wand if we had it. All right, Miss Ebling, anything to report?
No, Your Honor. It's a long wait.
Okay, and Casa?
No, ma'am. No concerns at all.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to say, Ms. Cervantes. Thank you for your patience, and I wish, like I said, I wish we could change it, but we can't. So there's no point in any of us getting wound around the axle because it's not going to do any good. So anyway, glad she's doing so good, and just continued thanks for taking such great care of her. All right, then I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I will continue her placement. And our next review hearing will be July 10th of 2024, and that'll be a 9 o'clock docket. All right, appreciate everybody. Thank you all for waiting. I apologize, we're behind, but our first case on the docket's really complicated. For our final in this case, and we are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. And the court is present in Farwell in the district where this case is filed. And there is no one else present in the courtroom. The courtroom is open and no one else has appeared. Okay. We'll take announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I am present and ready with Permanency Specialist Zona Ramsey and Supervisor Dakota Miller, both from St. Francis Ministries.
Linda Ebeling on behalf of the respondent mother. We are both present and ready.
Stacy Grant on behalf of the children. I'm present and ready.
Laura Kopp on behalf of the father. I am also ready.
David Dominguez, PMC, Sylvia. We're ready.
Okay. And
Monica and April from CASA are ready, present and ready.
all right, thank you. I think that got everybody. Okay. All right, Ms. Ferguson.
Your Honor, it is my belief that we have an agreement. The department at this time is asking for permanent managing conservatorship to be transferred to David and Sylvia Dominguez. In a second, I will ask to call them as a witness just to reaffirm that for the court on the record, and also that they have negotiated and are satisfied with the agreements that have been made today and the agreement that they made with the department for permanency care assistance going forward. As to visitation with both parents, the department's asking for essentially the same thing. We would be asking for any contact with the parents to be supervised for the first 90 days. And especially for mom, we would be asking specifically for a minimum of 2 hours per week. For the father, since he lives a lot further away, we would be asking for the visitation to be supervised for 90 days when he initiates the visitation, once he gets out of the facility. Then we would ask that any visitation after that 90-day period be by mutual agreement between Sylvia and David Dominguez and the parent, and at the discretion of Sylvia and David Dominguez, as to whether or not it be supervised or unsupervised, so that they would have the ability to determine whether or not the parent is in a safe place at that time and could do unsupervised contact after that. We also would ask that Sylvia and David Dominguez have the ability to ask either parent to provide a drug test, and the parent would need to provide the results to them prior to a scheduled visit if they request it. And we are also asking for a clause in there to say that the Mr. and Mrs. Dominguez would only request a drug test in good faith if they have a safety concern for the children.
And did you say that the drug test would be at who?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Did you say who would be paying for the drug test?
It would be at the parent's expense.
At parent's expense, okay.
Which is why we would ask that it only be, in good faith.
Right. Okay. And I'm sorry, I was typing away as you were talking, but did I miss support?
At this time, Your Honor, I don't believe we're asking for any child support from either parent due to the fact that Mr. and Mrs. Dominguez are going to be receiving permanency care assistance.
Okay.
And that would also include medical support that they'll be entitled to, correct?
Yes,
Just
part
for
of
the record.
permanency care assistance will entitle the children to continue to receive Medicare, I believe. And that should have been, they should be clear on that, and that should have been negotiated when they negotiated the permanency care assistance.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Ms. Ferguson?
Oh, and it goes without saying, but I I want to put it on the record, the department is asking for both parents to be possessory conservators at this time.
Okay, I assume that, yes.
Yeah, sorry, but I didn't say it.
All right. All right, then. If you want to go ahead and call either or both of the Dominguezes, and we'll do that, and then we'll make sure this is what everybody's agreed to.
Yes, I would call David Dominguez. And are you the grandfather to the girls?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you heard the announcement that I made regarding our agreement?
I did, just to the last minute, we were having a little trouble, I guess, with the audio and stuff, but I did hear most of it. Yes, ma'am.
Have you already met with a representative of the department to negotiate permanency care assistance?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And do you understand all the terms of that? And are you in agreement with that agreement?
Yes, ma'am. As far as I know, I pretty much understand it. We visited for about an hour over it and went over a lot of the stuff, information that had a few questions, and she answered most of them, pretty sure.
Okay. And are you in agreement to for you and your wife to be named as permanent managing conservators going forward?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that would entail rights and duties as to the children until they turn 18?
Yes.
And so do you understand you would have the right to determine their residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that this agreement would leave both Irene Garcia and Albert Garcia as possessory conservators?
Yes.
And that would leave them with the ability to stay in the children's lives, the ability to receive information regarding the children, and the ability to have visitation with the children.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And is it your agreement to allow the visitation to be supervised by you or your designee for at least the first 90 days?
Yes, ma'am.
And for Irene Garcia, a minimum of 2 hours per week contact?
Right.
And is it your agreement then after that by mutual agreement with both Irene Garcia and Albert Garcia, depending on where they are in their lives, it will be your discretion to determine how the visitation occurs, whether it's supervised, unsupervised?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that the department has asked this court to give you the ability to request drug tests from either parent if you have a safety concern about their contact with the children?
Yes.
And do you agree and believe that you can facilitate all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time I pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Evelyn, do you have any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Kopp.
No questions.
All right, and Ms. Grant?
No questions, Judge.
All right. Ms. Ferguson, anything for you?
Yes, just really briefly, I would call Zona Ramsey. And how are you employed?
I'm employed as a permanency specialist with St. Francis Ministries.
And have you heard the agreement that was announced today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe it's in the best interest of the children?
I do.
And why is that?
From the facts and the things that have happened during the court, during the duration of the case, I believe that it is safe for the children to stay in the home. I know they are well provided, they're well cared for, and they will be provided there. I believe that where the parents are right now, they wouldn't be able to have them back in their home, but I agree that visitation could be good for them as well moving forward. And so I believe it's the best for the kids right now.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time I pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Evelyn, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Kopp?
No questions.
All right, Ms. Grant?
No questions.
Okay. Ms. Ferguson, anybody further?
No, Your Honor. At this time, the department rests.
All right, Ms. Ebling, first of all, is this your and your client's agreement?
It is, Your Honor. I can ask her to testify to that, or just ask her if she will turn on her camera and microphone and just indicate if she is in agreement.
Okay. Ms.
Irene, is it,
Garcia,
I'm
is
sorry,
it-
you go ahead.
Yes.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. And Ms. Cobb?
To my understanding, my client does agree with that. He is currently in the El Paso multi-use facility in El Paso, Texas, and they can't locate him.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Grant?
Judge, that's my agreement, and it's the desires of the children and in their best interest.
All right. And Casa?
I think this is I'm in agreement with it. I think it would be good for them to have some personal contact and reestablish some relationship. So yeah, it sounds like a good thing.
Okay. All right, then. Sounds like everybody's on the same page. So who am I to upset the apple cart? So no, sounds like a good agreement. Sounds like it's in the best interest of the children. So I will adopt the agreement as it's been announced. I'll sign the order when that's presented to me. And then the only other thing that I would add to it is at that time, I would dismiss the department and take the services.
Judge, sorry, we're getting some feedback from the Dominguez's and I can't hear it.
Okay. I'll put y'all on mute. Okay. I'll dismiss the Department of Family and Protective Services and all court-appointed attorneys from the case. And I appreciate everybody's time and everybody's representation in this matter. And that will conclude this, and we'll be adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Good luck, Ms. Garcia.
Thank you, guys.
We are here
All
today.
right,
Thank
thank y'all
you
very
for
much.
an initial permanency hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties, and we are live streaming. And Ms. Wyatt is making our record. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready with Permanency Specialist Lisa Hooper and Supervisor Jasmine DeVroe from St. Francis Ministries.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the mother, Catherine Hartwig. Present, Your Honor, I didn't notice that she was participating in this.
I do not have her logged in, Mr. Jackson. You were breaking up right at first, but I think you were just announcing, but I don't have her logged in.
Her water broke
Ready, Your Honor.
on Monday. She's in the hospital.
Ms.
Okay, and she's very pregnant with twins.
Okay, Joel, you're breaking up real badly. You might try turning your video off. No, still pretty bad. Let me ask Ms. Hooper again, because I think we may have been talking over each other. Ms. Hooper,
I said that she's very pregnant with twins, and so that's
okay, Joel, you're still breaking up, and there's a long delay. And Ms. Hooper, did you say she was in the hospital?
Yes, ma'am. Her water broke on Monday. As of yesterday at noon, she has not had the babies. I haven't talked to her since then, so I don't know. But I know as of yesterday at noon, she had not had the babies yet, but she's still in the hospital.
Okay.
Judge, I'll go ahead and announce while we're waiting on Mr. Jackson, Stacy Grant for the father, Adrian Ramirez, and my client's present.
Jim Shaw, attorney at Latham.
Okay, thank y'all. All right, let's see if we can get a better connection with him. All right, we got everybody now. And we got everybody's announcements. So, all right, what do we have new then, other than just what I know about mom being in the hospital? What do we have new since the court report was filed?
We have, when I filed the court report, there was a drug test of the additional drug testing was still pending. Let me make sure I'm correct. I won't tell you wrong. We had a drug test come back positive on Adrian for methamphetamines and amphetamines. He stated he had been sick and had been taking cold medicine and used a Vicks inhaler. So I contacted the medical review officer, asked them about the medicine, and I also requested a isomer test to make sure that the Vicks inhaler had not caused a false positive. And I got those results back, and it was not the Vicks inhaler that caused the positive result. So I believe when I filed the court report, we didn't have all of that information back yet.
That's correct. Just the question about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's been the main, that really, they only changed that in the mother who's gone into labor, or the mother of the two boys. Yeah, because both the boys are in Toya now, but I was able to report that on the court report and doing well. So they are both going to the same counselor now. And that's going well. It's a little bit of a challenge, but it's still going okay.
Okay. And they're with family, correct?
Yes, ma'am, with her paternal grandmother.
Okay. All right. What about, I read what services that parents had done in the court report. Anything else that's been completed or initiated since that was filed?
Yes, I got an email this morning stating that Adrian has finished the parenting class. And so I believe they sent me a certificate or they acknowledged that he had completed that. And that was just this morning.
Okay.
And I believe also that Catherine has been able to get started on her counseling with Jennings Counseling in Amarillo.
Okay, probably going to be an interruption in that, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So what are we going to want to do regarding the positive drug screen? Are we going to want another OSAR? What has he done an OSAR? What do we want to do?
He has not done another OSAR. I have talked to him about doing another OSAR, but I haven't gotten it completely set up yet. So that is the step that we want to take. He has done really well in counseling. He has requested more sessions with Tim. He's doing well, except this one hiccup. And so I think if we can do another OSAR, that's where we want to go with that.
Has he done one?
Yes, he has done one.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else from St. Francis or the department?
I don't believe so. The boys are doing very well with their grandmothers, so there's no concerns there. The kids are happy. They feel safe. So they continue to do well there.
And they're having visits with both parents.
Yes. 2 weeks ago, I think mother got a doctor's note, or the doctor gave her a note saying she couldn't travel more than 30 miles. And we were in the process of getting those set up until she went in the hospital. So we're going to wait until she gets on her feet again and get those going again. We don't know exactly how it's going to look, but we're going to get them going again.
Sure. Well, that may just take a little bit of time, depending
For sure.
on the patient. So, okay.
And Your Honor, I just have as a housekeeping matter, Miss Hartwig had reported that she believes that there's Indian heritage on her side. We did send a notice to the tribe. We have not received any kind of response from the tribe. We did receive a response from the Bureau of Indian Affairs because we send our notices to the Bureau and to the tribe. The Bureau did respond and say that, obviously only the tribe can determine if this child is eligible. So we are waiting for a response from the tribe.
Which tribe?
And Your Honor, you would ask me that.
Chickasaw.
Yeah. And we have had responses from them in the past, so it is unusual that they haven't responded. We will follow up with them again, but also our position is until they respond to say that the child is eligible for membership themselves, that these are not Indian children at this time. Because neither parent has enrollment in the tribe.
But mom is thinking it's on her side of the family?
Yes, I believe a grandparent is.
Okay. And is this Chickasaw tribe that's in Oklahoma?
That's my understanding. That's who we sent the notice to.
Okay. Okay. All right then. Mr. Jackson, anything else to report on behalf of Mom.
What, just briefly, Your Honor, ma'am, it looked like from your report that, for all intents and purposes, that Catherine is being cooperative and she's completing services and getting things done to the best of her ability. Would you agree with that?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes. I would
Yes.
agree. Yes.
One of the questions, when I had met with her here a while back, she had mentioned that her mother, Christy Craig, she was wanting her to have visits as well. Would the department have a problem with that?
We have told her that the grandparents are allowed 15 minutes of the visit, be it the first 15 minutes, last 15 minutes, but that she can attend the visit, but for just 15 minutes.
Okay, well, since Catherine's not going to be able to exercise her visit, could her mother exercise that visit in her place?
I'd have to staff with my supervisor. I'm not really sure of that.
All right, yeah, if you would do that, please.
Let me just ask, let me interrupt Mr. Jackson. I mean, Ms. Hooper, do we have any information on her mother? Do we have any reason to believe she's not appropriate to have visits?
No, I mean, we did a background check on her. Nothing came back.
Okay.
So we don't have anything else.
Okay. Until Mom, I'm just going to say, until Mom can, really and truly exercise visits again, and that's kind of an indefinite time frame right now, I'm going to allow the maternal grandmother to have those visits.
Okay, that she can travel to Silverton to have the visits.
Yeah, if she can do that,
Okay.
I think that would be fine. I mean, let's try to maintain some continuity because, Mom realistically could be sort of, out of that loop for a good month and maybe longer. So let's just keep the family connections going and.
Okay, we can do that.
And Your Honor, I did want to make the court aware that it has been brought to my attention that that I'm not sure which one of the kids, I think it's Gabriel, has had some issues with visitation with Mom, with some issues coming up because it was maternal family that injured him. So, I think we would ask to be able to consult with the child's therapist to make sure that, therapeutically, this is, seeing maternal family is not triggering anything for the child.
Has maternal grandmother participated in any of the visits so far, Miss Hooper?
I watched the first, I think 2 visits, and she participated in one of them while I was there. And I do believe she has participated in some since then, not consistently, but she has participated in the last 15 minutes of visits with Catherine.
Okay, and so have we had any reported problems?
No.
Okay. Ms. Ferguson, I don't understand, but I think I want to move forward with it. They're going to be supervised.
Yeah.
I think at least for the time being, I would want them to be supervised, make sure that her conversations and what she says to the kiddos and all that's appropriate. I don't think there was an allegation that she's the one that injured the child.
No, Your Honor. I just was asking for the ability to consult with the therapist if the therapist makes different recommendations.
And I think if we have any backlash from the visits and therapist thinks that's the source of it, then we can always pull back on it. But if she's been, involved in their lives and kids know her and that she's been participating to some extent, I think it's appropriate to let her continue to do that in Mom's place for right now. She may be, once the babies are born, she may be able to share pictures with them and, that kind of thing. So unless we have some backlash, let's move forward. Okay, Mr. Jackson, go ahead. If you had something further.
No, nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Then Ms. Grant.
Judge, the only request we would have about the OSAR is just a little bit of lead time for him to be able to ask off work. He just needs a little bit of notice time for that appointment. I assume he'll be able to call and set his own appointment with the provider, which would handle that. But if St. Francis or the department sets the appointment, we would just request a little bit of lead time on that. And I saw Mr. Ramirez kind of waving his hand up above his head. I can't see him in his camera, and I wanted to make sure that that was the only request we had.
Okay, and Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, I was just saying with the Vicks inhaler, there was Sudafed I took and also NyQuil. And I don't know if you got that checked or not, but I told you about it. I sent you pictures of it.
Yes, I checked it.
Yeah, all of that was run through the lab, and they've all indicated that that would not cause the positive result. So I'm going to order you to do another OSAR, and certainly you can schedule that around your work schedule.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
And, you know, all I can say, Mr. Ramirez, is if you've been around people that are using, that can cause the positive. If you know, and if you've had a relapse, you know, best thing in the world is just own up to it, and let's see if you need any additional help or treatment, whatever, you know, because the bottom line is we want to get the kids back at home with family, with their parents, you know, and so you have to try to look at this as we're here to help, not that we're here to police and, you know, make your life miserable, but we're here to try to help.
Mr. Ramirez, it's also important if there's ever been any use in the home, that home is cleaned and scrubbed top to bottom and side to side. So be sure you do that as well to ensure that you're not contaminating your own drug screens, okay?
All right, Mr. Shaw?
Judge, my only concern is with Gabriel. He's still having problems as far as getting through the therapy and at school, getting over the assault that may or may not have taken place. I would ask the court to allow the therapist to have more control over the individuals who are visiting with him, only because I would like for this therapy to be focused on him so he can make some headway as far as dealing with this issue. At this point, I know they're going to be moving to Tulia, so that's going to be another change in his life. So I'm just asking the court if the therapist could have a little bit more leeway as far as any contact or how things are going to go as far as people coming in and out of his life.
Let me just make sure. I mean, Mr. Shaw, are you objecting to the grandmother stepping in to take visits? And, you know, for the time being, and if we have a problem, we can always pull back from that, but.
That would be fine, Your Honor. I was not, I heard Ms. Cooper say that the therapist was going to stay the same, but I had other information that maybe the therapist was going to change. So I just wanted to make sure that the therapist had input as to how to go forward with the therapy, especially on Gabriel.
Can I clarify?
Please.
Gabriel's counselor did change when he moved to the Tulia school. Him and Dallas will be seeing the same counselor. Maybe I wasn't clear about that. I apologize. The very first session that Tim had with Gabriel, he was able to kind of open up and talk about the abuse. And so Tim thinks that he will be able to make some progress with him because he was easy to talk to the very first time he met him. So he was, he felt positive about the future sessions with Gabriel.
Well, Judge, may I ask a question?
Sure.
When is Gabriel's next visit with his therapist? Perhaps we could get a therapist, I don't know, approval or maybe a therapeutic visit or something like that to kick it off, maybe?
You know, he sees him bi-weekly, and I do not know which week he is seeing him. It won't take but a text to ask Tim, but I do know it's bi-weekly.
But Ms. Hooper, I mean, you've observed some of these visits and you've never, I mean, you've not observed a problem or any kind of backlash when the kids have seen their grandmother, have you?
I have not. And the grandmother has not said anything to me about their behavior changing, you know, after visits. I feel like she would have mentioned something to me.
Can I say something?
She hasn't said anything to me.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ramirez.
Okay. She did tell me one of the sessions that Gabriel didn't want to go. He didn't want to see his mom, so he didn't go to that. And she said that he just, I don't know, they act like they just don't care.
When you say she, who are you referring to? Mr. Ramirez?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was referring to Catherine that Gabriel didn't want to go see Catherine in one of the sessions.
I understood that, but who reported that to you?
My mom told me that, and Gabriel told me he didn't want to see his mom the last time I seen, or the next visit I had with him.
Adrian, are you aware of any issues between Gabriel and his grandmother on the other side?
She was real strict with him when they did see him, so.
But she's been appropriate with him, as far as you know?
Well, as long as I know, yeah, but I really don't, behind closed doors, I really don't know, so.
Okay.
Well, so it will be supervised for the time being, until we have an assurance or we all feel comfortable that it's appropriate and that she, is acting within the appropriate boundaries, and then it may be that later down the road, she could just see the children maybe, at your mother's home or something like that. They could meet or something, but until we have a better feel of how it's going between the kids and her, then, it'll be supervised, just like mom's visits are supervised. Then if mom gets to jump back into visitation, then her access would drop back to the last, her first 15 minutes of the visit. This is just simply because their mother, may be out on medical leave for a while. So, I feel comfortable moving forward based on what Ms. Hooper has told me about interaction in the visits. I have no problem with the counselor being aware that grandmother is doing those visits, and if if he sees or hears anything, or if the children report that they don't want to go, then we will absolutely cross that bridge and deal with it. So I think the therapist needs to be aware of that.
It sounds to me like the child feels comfortable expressing if he has any discomfort. So if he's told that that's what the visit's going to be and he's uncomfortable, it sounds like he would feel comfortable saying so.
Okay, let's just give it a try. If it goes up, it does, and then we can always take a break and reevaluate.
Okay. Your Honor, I had another question for Ms. Hooper, if I may.
Sure.
Ms. Hooper, just out of curiosity, do you have contact information for Christy Craig, the maternal grandmother?
I think so. It's been several months since I've spoken with her. I spoke with her back at the beginning of the case. So I think I do. Oh, and maybe not.
Okay, the only number I have is for Catherine, and
I think she, I think she refused to give me her number at the beginning of the case. And,
okay.
But maybe Catherine can give it to me at this point.
Yeah, that was what I was going to try to reach out to Catherine and see if she can give me that number.
Okay.
If I get it, I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, anybody have anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then, I'm going today to find that there would be a continuing danger to return the children home at this time, and that the department's using reasonable efforts to reunify the family. I'm gonna order that Mr. Ramirez schedule another OSAR and participate in that, and with any follow-up recommendations that are made as a result of that. We'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'll continue the children's placement with paternal grandmother, and then maternal grandmother may exercise mother's periods of visitation while she's on medical leave. At the time that mom can resume her visits, then maternal grandmother will can step back and join in the last 15 minutes or first 15 minutes of the visits. we'll reevaluate that as we move along. Ms. Hooper, if you will, make the therapists aware that is going to be a change in the visitation.
Okay.
And just make sure that he's in the loop on that and knows so that he can engage the kiddos about how they feel about that.
I can do that.
Okay. Okay, our next hearing is scheduled for June 12th of 2024, and that's on a 1 o'clock docket. But we've got a lot going on, so if something comes up and we need to set another hearing, you all let me know and we'll get it scheduled.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of got a lot of moving parts right now. Okay, I appreciate everybody. Thank you all for delaying to 1:30. I'm sorry, I couldn't legally get here any faster than I did. And even that, it was not totally legal. So I appreciate everybody's, moving the clock back a little bit. So thank you all very much. And I hope everybody has a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. You
Judge,
too.
you probably ought to need to quit live streaming before you start making those kind of admissions.
Yeah, I think every sheriff's deputy in the Panhandle knows me.
Okay. All right.
And maybe not so much in a good way. But back when we were traveling all the time, they for sure knew who I was, and that we were always from one place to the next. So anyway, Ms. Wyatt, thank you. I'm sorry we didn't get to see you or hear from you today, but I appreciate you. All right, everybody have a great